All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. SPJ is with us, Daniel Collins. He is paying close attention to the NBA and arguably some really good finals going on in the East and West. Hopefully, folks are tuning in. SPJ, great to have you back here on the show. And this is basically what we wanted, right? Like, we want a long series in the West. I think we're going to get one in the East, too. The Thunder win yesterday and just barely cover that spread of 7.5. I thought personally, just from watching, the condensed, because that's usually what I do when I'm working at night. I come back and I watch the condensed game. It felt like you always thought that the Thunder were going to win. It was just a matter if they were going to cover that spread. So naturally, it sort of tells me that we could be in for a fun one here. I think the Spurs probably take care of business back at home here, and I think that SGA and company have a battle.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year, like you said, you're getting the cream of the crop going head-to-head on a night-to-night basis, exactly what you want as an NBA fan. And, Craig, the most important thing for me right now is paying attention to the chess matches between these coaches. You got the two biggest words to me right now to focus about is how are these players going to respond and how are these players going to adjust? Each individual game is its own story, right? But that's not a part of the entire novel that we're looking at in these series.
Mm-hmm.
And game one was one story with Victor Wembanyama taking over the game, obviously hitting that crazy 30-footer at double overtime, SGA having a little bit more of a pedestrian performance. But the Thunder took all of that away. They learned, they adapted, and they said, what are we going to do in game two to make sure that Wemby does not just completely take over this game and turn into exactly what we saw in game one? And what they did was they put Isaiah Hartenstein out there, and I have personal opinions about this, but however you feel about this, they just allowed Isaiah Hartenstein to play as physical as possible with Victor Wembanyama and make his life really, really difficult. And the refs decided to not call a lot of those things. It kind of changed the temperature of the game. And as you mentioned, the defending champs came in, got the job done at home, and really evened out the series after getting punched in the mouth in game one. So I'm fascinated to see how the chess match continues between Daigneault and Mitch Johnson going forward. Obviously, these coaching staffs are going to spend a lot of time looking at each individual play, each individual moment, because we are seeing some cinema. Game one was one of the best basketball games I've watched in this series. Game two didn't quite live up to that bill, but it was still a fantastic basketball game, every single possession mattering. The other thing, too, about this, Craig, is injuries are going to start to play a factor here. You've got guys like De'Aaron Fox obviously didn't play game one and game two. Dylan Harper goes out of the game last night. Jalen Williams, unfortunately for the Thunder, that hamstring injury flared up once again. So we'll see what his status is going forward. We're at the point of the season where, as all players will tell you, nobody's 100%, right? They're all dealing with these nagging injuries and things like that, playing on a night-to-night basis. And then you get the added aspect of these are two of the most physical basketball teams in the entire association, especially on the defensive end. So I'm looking at how these players and these coaching staffs continue to adjust, how they continue to respond to the adjustments in the coaching that they're getting on a night-to-night basis, and also how they're taking their treatment. So, as you mentioned, a spectacular game last night. SGA showed up, played like the two-time MVP, 30 points, played 38 minutes, was really good on the defensive end. I have opinions on, whether or not they got some calls and they flopped around a little bit, and the referees kind of helped them out on certain stretches of this game too. But regardless, they got the job done, as you mentioned, covered the spread, getting a double-digit victory, or 9-point victory, almost double digits. It felt like a double-digit victory, right? Close enough, yeah. Now it's up to the Spurs. I mean, they have home serve. They held home serve, right? They got to win on the road. You got to think that the defending champs are going to come in and maybe win one of these next two games in San Antonio. But I mean, the Spurs have the momentum right now, even after losing the game yesterday. I think they're going to kind of learn from what they saw in game two, how they deployed Isaiah Hartenstein, like I said, to defend Victor Wembanyama, the different looks they threw at them offensively as well, and make their adjustments. And we'll see which team comes out on top in game three. But this is the part of the season that's the best as a true basketball fan. You get to watch every single possession, how these guys are processing information, how these guys are taking the coaching that's happening so quickly in front of them that they watched in the film room maybe 12 hours before. This is not like they've had an entire offseason to prepare for this particular moment. They've got sometimes this much time to kind of make a decision and learn on the fly. So you're seeing all of this happen at the best of the best on the Western Conference side, obviously. And as you mentioned, we got a banger in game one in the Eastern Conference side, and we're going to see what happens in game two tonight as well.
Yeah, I think so. Thunder is still favored, by the way, heavily to win the series. Let's just be clear on that. Minus 164 current odds there. But I would guess, with no data associated, that the Thunder have played, I think, about 90 games when you think about it, regular season and playoffs. I'm going to say that less than 2 or 3 times they've been dogs in games this season. And that's even without SGA playing. But here we are going into the next game. And maybe, by the way, I would say this. If the Thunder win and win by more than a deuce, this is it, SPJ. I don't think that they're dogs any game the rest of the way. So that would be the question. Do you think that this is it? Do you think that this is the Thunder moment to just ride them to the end? Or conversely, do you think maybe the Spurs just simply, like the regular season, have their number?
Most likely. The other way you could look at this too, if you want to look a little bit further down the line, you can actually get the Oklahoma City Thunder in some places at plus money to be the to lift Larry O'Brien in a couple of weeks, or you can take them at minus 110 value. And as you just mentioned, if they win Game 3, that value is going to disappear. So if you think the Thunder maybe kind of got the monkey off their back in Game 2, can take care of business in either Game 3 or Game 4 here, you're getting a really good price on them to win the NBA Finals. I mean, do you remember the last time, Craig, that they weren't minus 160 or higher?
Never.
To be a champions? Yeah, exactly. So you're getting a great price right now if you want to kind of look at the futures market. I already invested on the Spurs at 3-1 to start before the conference finals began, just because I thought I was getting a good price there. So I've got that ticket in my back pocket. But you're right. I don't remember this team being a dog, and they're going to probably come in with that mentality. And you don't want a team that has already won a championship, that already has the 2-time MVP, that already has all the caliber of players that they have on this roster with their dog mentality, being a dog. You don't want them to have that extra hunger, right? So we're gonna see what happens in Game 3. I mean, again, this series is going to be blow for blow. Mike Tirico and Reggie Miller and Jamal Crawford have been fantastic calling these games, and they talked about it. It's felt like a heavyweight fight already. And Game 1 was that way. Game 2 was exactly the same way, and we're going to see what happens when this turns the page to San Antonio. I don't see this changing. It's going to be more of the exact same thing, haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. So you better strap in and get ready for a dogfight for 48 minutes. So I'm super excited to see how this series continues to play out. And as you mentioned before, I mean, this series has been awesome. And I didn't know what the Eastern Conference Finals was going to hold. People were kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's not going to be as good of a series. But man, oh man, we got cinema in Game 1. Probably not the kind of cinema Cavaliers fans would be looking forward to. But we're going to see how they're going to respond tonight in the Garden, and if the Knicks can pull some magic out of their hat once again.
All right, well, hold that thought, because we'll break that game down next with SPJ when we come back on NewsWire. Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Daniel Collins, SPJ, is here with us. We've got a game tonight between the Cavs and Knicks to break down. So let's take a look at the odds. The Knicks are 6.5-point home favorites. The total is 216.5. A lot of different directions I'm seeing online with this one. I see people taking the Cavs to win outright. I see some money. I see some, hey, Knicks get back to their 140 tonight. Man, everyone is all over the map with this one. But let me start here with you on this. I see a lot of Cavs win the last game if they don't, I mean, this is crazy, if they don't have James Harden on the court for the end of the game in overtime. So we saw that Kenny Atkinson defended him to the end in the last one. And I would also say, SPJ, that it feels like the Cavs are here partially because of that trade that they made with Harden. So let me get your Cavs angle first before we go to the Knicks.
Yeah, like I said in the last series, breaking this down, this is the biggest thing about these types of games. You have to adapt and you have to respond. The Cavaliers have a bunch of questions that they have to answer inside of themselves, but they also have to look themselves in the mirror and say, we have to be better in the big time moments of these games. Kenny Atkinson as well. I mean, there was lots of stretches down the stretch of that game where they were losing that 22-point lead, where Jalen Brunson, as they said on the broadcast, the Brunson burner was lit, right? And when that happens as a head coach, sometimes you gotta put that fire out. You gotta call a timeout. You gotta slow that momentum down a little bit. And instead of doing that, he let them kind of roll with it. The other thing too is they didn't make the defensive adjustments necessary down the stretch in that game. Dean Wade is one of the better on-ball defenders on Jalen Brunson in every single matchup they played the Knicks this season. He was doing a pretty good job all game long. If you look at the box score, obviously Brunson ended with 38, but a lot of those points came in the fourth quarter when, as Mike Brown said in his press conference, they were hunting the matchup with James Harden. They were throwing Harden on an island with Brunson, basically playing 4 wide after that and just letting Brunson cook. The Cavaliers made a bad mistake and did not adjust. They did not allow Dean Wade to slip through some of those screens. They did not allow They basically just said, okay, if you want to beat us this way, let's see what James Harden can do on an island. And boy, oh boy, did they find out that that was not the way that you're going to win a basketball game. So I get defending your guy. He was a big reason why they got to this particular point in the Eastern Conference Finals, playing second, being the 1-2 punch with Donovan Mitchell. But they had to make adjustments down the stretch. I would be shocked if they don't make adjustments going into game two, especially on the defensive end. And I just feel like that if you watch for 3.5 quarters of this game, the Cleveland Cavaliers were actually punching the Knicks in the mouth. They were scoring at will. They were getting downhill. They were getting to the cup. They were offensive rebounding. They were playing the better brand of basketball. That is the reason why they are in the Eastern Conference Finals. It was a bit of an anomaly. It hasn't happened. I can't remember the exact stat, but it was like 200 plus that its 22-point lead gets decimated in the final 7 minutes of a playoff game. So it was a one in a lifetime opportunity that the Knicks took advantage of, and it was an incredible game to watch, obviously. But I don't think the Cavs had to run away from that feeling like they have to make ginormous, incredible, oh my God, we need to change all this type of stuff. They just need to look at themselves, go, hey, we didn't make the adjustments down the stretch. Now we just do exactly what got us here the first 3.5 quarters. Maybe we fix a couple of things that we needed to do on the defensive end, like I said, with guarding Brunson a little bit more, throwing some double teams at him, allowing some switches of those screens. And then you can probably get the job done on the road. But I don't blame people for not wanting to trust the Cavs. This is a hard team to get behind. They look fantastic in stretches, and they also look like boneheads in particular moments as well. So it's hard to kind of back a team like that. But if I had to choose, I don't have any side in this particular game, but if I had to choose, I would lean with the Cavaliers and the points.
All right, fair enough. SPJ's honest with you. He doesn't throw out picks on this show that he doesn't believe in, but he will give us picks. Absolutely. So let's get right to it. We've got 3 selections from you here. And I mean, I don't want to say that they're random, but definitely some interesting player props here. So fire away.
Yeah, I going a little bit back to what I saw in game one, and they both cashed for me. I added an additional sprinkle in there. Now, if you want to go a little bit chalky and take like Jalen Brunson or Donovan Mitchell to have big games once again, I don't fault you. They were both fantastic in game one, especially Brunson. I think their lines are very bettable once again. But I'm going with some role players here. As I mentioned, Dean Wade, I bet his PRA last game at 9.5, and there it is staring at me again at 9.5. He's the best on-ball defender against Jalen Brunson. He's a good scorer against this Knicks team. Has hit this in all games against them in the regular season and had a really good game one scoring the basketball as well, hitting this PRA with just points. He also had a nice rebounding game as well. Mikal Bridges on the other side is kind of that secondary de facto scorer, him and OG Anunoby. When Cat has not really been fantastic to start the season, he was pretty pedestrian in game one. Mikal Bridges was really good. I like this PRA line once again with the rebounding, facilitating roped into his obvious scoring efforts. And then off the bench, Dennis Schroder, not going to play a lot of minutes, probably 20 plus, but Kenny Atkinson can trust his veteran leadership. His assist line, he had 5 assists against the Knicks in game one, hit this in every single game in the regular season against the Knicks as well. I think that 3+ assist line is a little too low. So go into the role players, but I think we get another banger tonight in Madison Square Garden, Craig.
All right, SPJ, good luck with all the picks. Thanks again.